everyone, Luke here, and are you guys bothered by the fact that there's a game called Bubble Wobble out there and literally nobody questions it? Because I am. Okay, I mean, not really.
Imagine this, you bought a new video game. That is a big deal. It'll be your life for the next hour before you get bored, but video games can be expensive, so it's important that it interests you. And the name of a video game is one of the first things you will know about a video game. The name of a video game is meant to show you what the game is about, most of the time.
But a lot of the time, video game names can be pretty confusing, so let's go through video game names throughout history to try and make sense of it all.
Let's first start with one of the most iconic video game series of all time, Super Mario Bros. This is one, if not the biggest name in gaming out there, and it's called Super Mario Bros. Well, this is called this because the original arcade game was called Mario Brothers, but when Mario got his own standalone game, the main power-up was the Super Mushroom, transforming him into Super Mario. Also, in the two-player mode, Luigi was the other brother, therefore the name Super Mario Brothers. I hope that made sense. Some game names just make sense, and others get lazy. Okay, well, not lazy. Some names adopt the console's name into the game title, mainly with the Super Nintendo and Nintendo 64. You ever seen a Nintendo 64 game? Chances are it has a 64 after it, like Mario Kart 64 or Pilotwing 64. A lot of them feel lazy and a bit misleading. Like, is this the 64th Mario game? It kind of gets annoying when like 1/3 of the library it just ends in 64, but it's kind of charming. Like when you hear a game ending in 64, you know it's for the Nintendo 64. The same tactic was used for Super Nintendo games, with the Super title getting adopted into a lot of official titles. Super Mario World, Super Mario Kart, Super Metroid. I like this because Super feels a bit more natural. Super Metroid is one of the most iconic names in gaming. Super does kind of sound a bit silly for how dark of a game Super Metroid is, but I mean, it works. It sounds like an actual game name. A name like Doom 64 just means nothing to me. Let's knock out another one of Mario's other series, Mario Kart. And how inconsistent, I just hate it. So, the first games, Super Mario Kart and Mario Kart 64, do the name after a console tactic thing. I mean, it works.
But then the next two games have actual titles, Mario Kart Super Circuit and Mario Kart Double Dash. Super Circuit's name is nothing special, but Double Dash's is really cool because it actually describes what the game is about. The next two Mario Karts DS and Wii kind of go back to the naming after the console thing. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's better than using math.
Mario Kart 7 and Mario Kart 8, they go full first grade math class on us. I think they did this for 7 because otherwise the game would have been called Mario Kart 3DS, which would have confused people who thought that this game was Mario Kart DS in 3D, which would be ridiculous. So good thing they didn't name their next console the Wii U. And for Mario Kart 8, they said they named the game after this one track that was in the shape of an 8. Like, if this was the fourth Mario Kart, they would still call it Mario Kart 8.
Mario Kart has its ups and downs when it comes to naming. I think the series was just best when it had actual subtitles like Super Circuit or Double Dash.
But what about a series that takes math and throws it out the window? Final Fantasy. Look at the Wikipedia page of all the games released in order. It will confuse you. You have games numbered like 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, but each Final Fantasy game is its own standalone game. So sometimes you get sequels to some of these games. So you could have a name like Final Fantasy X2.
It's fine, I just feel like if these games had subtitles, it would be a lot less confusing. Each Final Fantasy game is like its own franchise, so then they just called their sequel Final Fantasy X2. It's fine, the diehards, it probably doesn't annoy them that much. But if you're getting into the series, look at a Wikipedia article first.
Now for a game name that, to be honest, was pretty clever. Do you remember Spyro from back in the day? Well, for Activision's Skylander series, they wanted to pull the nostalgia for people who grew up with Spyro. So, for Skylanders, they made a Spyro figure and named the game Skylanders Spyro's Adventure, which was pretty cool how they used an old character for this new game. That was a pretty clever way to name your game. Skylanders blew up, and I think the game name had something to do with it. Now let's move on to sports games, the bane of my existence. For sports games, those release yearly. So they just name it after the following year to make sure it doesn't feel outdated right away.
So Madden 18 came out in 2017, Madden 21 came out in 2020. It makes sense why this would be. But it confused the heck out of me as a kid. And then for the 25th year Madden, they released the game Madden 25, which it is going to be very awkward next year. Sports games have the simplest but at the same time most confusing names out there.
But we forgot the most important series of them all, the Wii series. The name taking after the console, but in a clever way. Like, We Play, that's the game where we play. Or Wii Sports, or Wii Fit, or Wii Party, or Wii Chess. Some games like Wii Ski or Wii Dare, they sound like they're part of the series, but look how Wii is spelt, W-E. So technically these aren't part of the Wii series. But, I mean, Wii Chess is.
And that was some video game names. The video game name is the biggest impression a video game will leave on a player. And while some of them can get really confusing, they're essential party games and I wouldn't have it any other way. And as always, thanks for watching.